Imagine a skyscraper so tall you could stack the Burj Khalifa on top of itself, twice, and still not reach the top. A tower with 678 floors, more than double the world's tallest building today. And it's not science fiction. Saudi Arabia just announced Rise Tower, 2,000 meters high, $5 billion. And if they actually build this, it won't just break records, it will rewrite the future of skyscrapers. Let's put this in perspective. The Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the current world record holder, stands at 828 meters. It took 6 years to build, required over 12,000 workers, and cost about $1.5 billion. The Rise Tower? Double that height, 2,000 meters. That's 6,561 feet straight up. If you stood at the base and looked up, the top would disappear into the clouds. Literally. At 678 floors, you could fit 5 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other and still have room left over. And Saudi Arabia says they're going to build this thing as part of something called the North Pole District in Riyadh, a completely new part of the city that does not exist yet. The project was just announced. The Public Investment Fund, Saudi Arabia's $700 billion sovereign wealth fund, is already reviewing bids from contractors around the world. The design firm? Foster Plus Partners, the same architects behind Apple Park, the redesigned Reichstag in Berlin, and some of the most iconic modern structures on Earth. This is real. The money is real. The plans are real. But here's where it gets interesting. Why would anyone build something this insane? Saudi Arabia has been on an absolute construction spree for the last decade. You've probably heard about NEOM, the $500 billion futuristic city they're building from scratch in the desert. Part of that includes The Line, a 170-kilometer-long mirrored skyscraper city designed to house 9 million people. Then there's the Red Sea Project, a luxury tourism destination spanning 28,000 square kilometers. And Qiddiya, a massive entertainment city bigger than Disney World and Universal Studios combined. All of this is part of Vision 2030, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's plan to transform Saudi Arabia from an oil-dependent economy into a global hub for tourism, technology, and innovation. Here's the thing, oil won't last forever. Saudi Arabia knows this. They produce about 10 million barrels of oil per day, making them one of the world's largest exporters. But global demand is shifting. Electric vehicles are rising. Renewable energy is expanding. The world is moving away from fossil fuels. So what do you do when your entire economy is built on something that's slowly becoming obsolete? If you've ever dreamed of starting your own business in Dubai, check out VirtuZone. They handle everything. Setup, visas, all of it. Partner links below if you want to get started. Now, let's go back to the video. You build the future, literally. They are about rebranding an entire nation, showing the world that Saudi Arabia is serious about becoming a 21st century powerhouse. And the Rise Tower? That's the exclamation point. Because when you build the world's tallest building, you don't just make headlines, you make history. Let's talk about what it actually means to build something this tall. At 2,000 meters, the Rise Tower would face engineering challenges that have never been solved before. First, there's wind. At extreme heights, wind speeds can exceed 200 kilometers per hour. The building would need to withstand forces that could literally tear it apart. Engineers would likely use a technique called tuned mass dampers, giant pendulums inside the building that counteract swaying. The Burj Khalifa, Taipei 101 uses this. But at double the height, the forces are exponentially stronger. Then there is the elevator problem. Current elevator technology has limits. Most elevators can't travel more than 500 to 600 meters before the steel cables become too heavy to support themselves. To reach the top of the Rise Tower, you need multi-stage elevator systems, transfer floors where passengers switch elevators, like changing trains. Some estimates suggest it could take 10 to 15 minutes just to reach the observation deck. And let's talk about air pressure. At 2,000 meters, you're above most commercial flight altitudes. The air is thinner. Buildings this tall would need pressurization systems similar to airplanes. People working on the top floors would experience noticeably different atmospheric conditions than those at ground level. Oh, and one more thing, fire safety. If a fire breaks out on floor 600, how do you evacuate? How do firefighters reach it? Traditional ladders and hoses become useless. You need drone systems, internal fire suppression zones, and refuge floors designed as temporary safe zones. But here's the crazy part. Saudi Arabia believes they can do it. Okay? So why go through all this trouble? Why not just build a normal skyscraper? Why push the limits this far? Because Saudi Arabia is not competing with other countries anymore. They are competing with the future itself. Look at what happened with the Burj Khalifa. When Dubai built it in 2010, the world watched in awe. It became a symbol of ambition, wealth, and possibility. Overnight, Dubai went from a desert trading port to a global icon. Tourist numbers exploded, investment poured in. The entire global perception of the UAE shifted. Saudi Arabia wants that same transformation. But here's the challenge. They are late to the game. Dubai already has the tallest building. Qatar hosted the World Cup. Abu Dhabi has the Louvre. Bahrain has Formula One. If Saudi Arabia wants to stand out, they need something undeniable, something nobody else has. A 2,000-meter tower is exactly that. It's a statement that says, we're not following trends, we're creating them. And it ties directly into Vision 2030's goals. The North Pole District, where the Rise Tower will be built, is not just a skyscraper project. It is an entire new urban zone designed around sustainability, smart technology, and renewable energy. According to early plans, the district will include high-speed rail connections linking it to the rest of Riyadh, solar farms and wind energy systems powering the entire area, smart grid infrastructure managing energy in real time, green spaces designed to combat the desert heat. The Rise Tower centerpiece, a vertical city within a city. Offices, residences, hotels, observation decks, restaurants, entertainment venues, all stacked 2,000 meters high. And if it works, it becomes a blueprint for future megastructures worldwide. But there is another layer to this. Saudi Arabia is also competing with China. China has been dominating the global construction game for decades. They build entire cities in years, high-speed rail networks spanning thousands of kilometers, mega bridges, mega dams. The Rise Tower is Saudi Arabia's way of saying, we can dream just as big. And with a $700 billion sovereign wealth fund backing them, they have the money to make it happen. But let's be real for a second. Building the world's tallest tower sounds amazing until you look at the reality of what it actually takes. Construction is reportedly planned to begin around 2026. But here's what you need to understand. There's no official completion date, and there's a very good reason for that. Projects this ambitious don't follow normal construction timelines. Want proof? Look at the Jeddah Tower in Saudi Arabia, originally planned to reach 1,000 meters, making it taller than the Burj Khalifa. Construction started in 2013. The target was completion by 2020. Today, the project sits at about one-third completion, has been halted multiple times due to financial issues, corruption investigations, and technical challenges. And that's for a building half the height of what they are proposing with the Rise Tower. Now imagine the challenges of building something twice as tall. The engineering problems we talked about earlier. Those are not solved yet. Engineers would literally need to invent new construction techniques, new materials, new safety systems. Wind resistance at 2,000 meters is theoretical. Nobody's actually built something that tall to test it in real conditions. Elevator systems capable of moving people safely across that distance don't fully exist yet. The structural engineering required to prevent the building from collapsing under its own weight is unprecedented. And let's talk money. $5 billion sounds like a lot, but mega projects almost never stay on budget. The Burj Khalifa was supposed to cost $1 billion and ended at $1.5 billion. The Sydney Opera House was supposed to cost $7 million. Final price? $102 million, nearly 15 times over budget. Major infrastructure projects worldwide exceed their budgets by an average of 30 to 50%. For a project as complex as the Rise Tower, cost overruns could easily push the price to $8 to $10 billion or more. Then there's the economic question. $5 billion minimum is a massive investment. But does it make financial sense? The Burj Khalifa, despite being the world's most famous skyscraper, has struggled with occupancy rates. Many floors remain unleased. The Rise Tower would face the same challenge, magnified. Who's going to rent office space on floor 500? Who's going to live on floor 600? At those heights, you're dealing with longer elevator times, higher maintenance costs, and psychological barriers. Many people simply can't handle being that high up for extended periods. And then there's Saudi Arabia's track record. NEOM was announced at 26,500 square kilometers. Now, it's been significantly scaled back. The line was supposed to be 170 kilometers long, housing 9 million people by 2030. Recent reports suggest the initial phase might be closer to 2.4 kilometers. Saudi Arabia dreams big. Sometimes those dreams become reality. Sometimes they get quietly revised. The Rise Tower might follow the same pattern. Construction could start in 2026 as planned, or it could be delayed. The design might be modified, the height might be reduced, or the entire project could be put on hold if economic conditions change. These are the realities of megaprojects. Timelines shift, budgets expand, ambitions get adjusted. Given the scale and unprecedented nature of the Rise Tower, a realistic timeline, if everything goes perfectly, could be 15 to 20 years or more from groundbreaking to completion. And that's assuming no major setbacks. Let's assume the Rise Tower gets built. 2,000 meters, 678 floors, fully operational. What happens next? First, Saudi Arabia instantly becomes the center of global attention. Every major news outlet would cover it. Tourists would flock to see it. It would become one of the new wonders of the modern world. But more importantly, it would prove something, that the limits of architecture just got shattered. If Saudi Arabia can build a 2,000-meter tower, what's stopping someone from building a 3,000-meter tower? We'd enter a new era of vertical cities, structures so tall they function as self-contained ecosystems. Imagine living your entire life inside a single building. Work on floor 200, home on floor 350, gym on floor 400, restaurants on floor 500. You'd never need to leave. And that's exactly what these megastructures are designed for. They're not just buildings, they are cities. The Rise Tower could house tens of thousands of people. It could generate its own power, recycle its own water, manage its own climate. And if Saudi Arabia succeeds, other countries will follow. China, the UAE, Qatar, they are all watching. The race to build taller, smarter, and more sustainable is not over. It's just beginning. So here's the real question. Will the Rise Tower actually get built? Or will it become another ambitious megaproject that gets quietly shelved? Saudi Arabia has the money, the vision, and the history of shocking the world. Construction might start in 2026, but finishing it could take 20 years, maybe more. If a 2,000-meter tower actually rises from the desert, everything changes. The skyline, economy, and the future of architecture itself. And the next time you look at a skyscraper, you will wonder, how much higher can we really go? Saudi Arabia is building the world's tallest tower, but China just completed the world's longest cable-stayed bridge, and it's an engineering beast. Click Watch Next to see how they did it. And don't forget to support the channel by subscribing or checking the link below.